Nole insiders Lane Hurt and Tim Linnefelt here with you high atop Doak Campbell Stadium. Head coach Jimbo Fisher just wrapped up his Monday press conference coming off a win against Wake Forest, a big one for the Seminoles. Tim, I think someone asked Jimbo, is his team having fun? And his response was, winning is a lot more fun. I think you heard that from the players as well. A little bit of a different attitude coming off of that first one of the season.
Absolutely. You could see it really at the stadium near the locker room at Wake Forest the other day. Just, look, it's hard to overstate just kind of how much of a grind and how difficult the first month of the season was for Florida State between two tough losses against two physical opponents, going through that long stretch of practice, which I think most football players will tell you, nobody loves practice. It's the game at the end of the week that's the reward for the practice, and not being able to do that, I think maybe took a bit of a toll. Seeing the atmosphere of the players by the locker room after a win, as close a win, as difficult a win as it was almost like a weight had been lifted. We'll see if that carries on into this week. I would expect Florida State maybe to play a little bit more loose, a little bit more confidence, and a little more energy, especially knowing that Miami's coming to town. And I think, in my opinion, and probably a lot of people around the program, a real opportunity to kind of reassert yourself as a team and show people, hey, we're still a team to be reckoned with. Miami's going to come in here with a high-ranking, undefeated record. We all know about Florida State's success over Miami over the last several years. To me, it's just a really big chance for Florida State to show the state of Florida and the country that this can still be the team, at least in terms of talent and production and results, be the team that everybody expected it to be a month ago.
And before we get to Miami, I think one of the takeaways and concerns from the Wake Forest game where it was the health of the offensive line. Derek Kelly, Cole Minshew, Landon Dickerson all missed time. Rick Leonard was banged up too. Fisher said that he expects all the guys to be back at practice today. What would that mean to be able to have everyone back and at least healthy enough to play?
Well, you just listed 4 or 5 starting offensive linemen, so it would mean a lot. No, absolutely. Of course, Derek Kelly, I think, is the one that I think you're the most happy about, just because it seemed like his injury, just looking at it from the press box, seemed like it had the potential to be the most significant. Of course, he's also the one who didn't come back into the game. Having him available would, of course, be a big deal, and Jimbo made a point. He said this a few times. It's like, you've seen Derek take a couple penalties and maybe miss a couple assignments, but, he's actually played better than those would have you indicate, and I think Florida State certainly has a better offensive line with him in the lineup rather than without, and I think that also goes for both those guards that you mentioned as well. Look, Miami, there's no rest for the weary here. Florida State, you start off with those defensive lines from Alabama, NC State. I think Wake Forest had a defensive line in front seven that maybe probably surprised some people, and Miami is not going to be a break from that. They're not going to be a picnic. They have a fantastic front as well, so you need all hands on deck up front, and having those guys healthy and available is a big step toward that.
The Hurricanes and the Seminoles, one of the most storied rivalries in college football. I think talking to the players, they have a ton of respect back and forth. There's a lot of mutual respect in this one. The Seminoles have that 7-game winning streak against Miami. That means a lot to the team as well. What is to be expected this week heading up to Miami?
You kind of said it. I think the players here in Florida State, as always, has a pretty healthy contingent of players from Miami and the South Florida area. None of those guys want to go home for Christmas or during the summer having lost to Miami. And you have the extra impact now of whenever you get a long streak over a rival like Florida State has over Miami, 7 straight years, nobody wants to be the group, especially the seniors, nobody who wants to be the group who lets that ball drop. You know what I mean? All the groups before you have gotten it done, you want to make sure to say, hey, we did our part too. So I think that's going to motivate Florida State this week. I think Florida State's going to play pretty well this week, coming home, playing against Miami. We've seen what these types of games, I think, can do to a team. For you saw the final score of the Alabama game, but for the first 2.5 quarters, Florida State went toe-to-toe with them and absolutely belonged on the same field. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Nationally ranked opponent, home game, national TV audience, the whole thing. I think that's going to propel Florida State to play a pretty strong game this weekend.
There you have it, Seminole fans. Whole week of coverage leading up to that Miami game on Saturday. Tim Linnefelt will have some great content. We'll have some video stuff as well. Socially, some extra special stuff being planned as well. So make sure you check out everything on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. But that'll wrap up things for now. He's Tim. I'm Lane. Let's get ready for rivalry week. Go Noles.